Hey, what's up everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. Alright. So, getting out the house, man, feeling pretty, had a little bit of a light head a little bit, but nothing too serious. I stayed in yesterday. I was telling myself I'd do a playlist, and that's exactly what I did, man. It took all day to really actually complete it because I wasn't satisfied with the music in the first half of the day, and I kept siphoning through it. I don't think I've took a completed batch of music and re-examined it more than I did with Delicity 388. I encourage y'all to check out BDF on Apple Music. I don't think I've ever, I must have ran through that music and picked at it and pulled stuff from it at least 8 times throughout the day yesterday. And at the end of the night, I had settled on the 20 songs or so that I was going to use, but didn't actually sort them. And then I woke up after having a nice nap in the daytime. I woke up late at night, around like 2 in the morning, and my stomach wasn't feeling right. So I took care of that. I took a whole midnight shower, or rather 3 a.m. shower, and then sorted out through the music. And while I was going through that process, I had found even more music to add to it. So the playlist ended up being a lot better just for the patience that I engaged in, putting forth the time and effort to not settle for really any songs. And as a result of being that patient, I was able to even find better music later on. So I was very thankful for how that playlist ultimately came out. Ended up going back to sleep after I finished it around 5 a.m. I swear, as soon as I laid my head down, it was almost like the bird was waiting for me to lay my head down and start squawking. As soon as I laid my head down, that's when he started. It was kind of funny. But I ended up sleeping till about 8:30, man. The dream I had was rather frustrating because I found myself arguing with my mother in my dream. Excuse me. It was ridiculous, really. I was basically telling her that I didn't feel like she understood my mental health concern, and because of it was asking me some stuff that, now that I know about my mental health, was unreasonable to ask. But when I woke up in the morning, I was like, man, what kind of devilish energy was that? Because I don't really feel that way. Like, I don't feel that way. In the dream, I was making that point and arguing that, but that ain't how I actually feel. So I had to pray that energy off of me. And the truth of the matter is, I thought my mom was very careful with my mental health. I thought she gave me plenty, tried to make me happy, and ended up saying yes into things that most parents would say no because of my mental health and because she had an understanding of it. So whatever that argument was, it wasn't how I really feel. But that was the dream, man. I woke up very tense off of that dream. And so clearly there's things I still got to work through subconsciously. And I guess that's what that was about. But more or less, yesterday was just a day of me staying in the house. I didn't really do a whole lot of anything. Whatever it is I ate did not sit well with my stomach, but that's just how it goes. I think it was either a combination of a bad banana probably and the new batch of meatballs, turkey meatballs that I liked. But just like everything else I like, doesn't sit well with my stomach. So I think the new batch that I bought, they put more seasoning on it, or they just got heavy-handed with the seasoning. And I think I might be allergic to that seasoning, so probably gonna have to throw away those meatballs. But anyway, so that's kind of how my day went yesterday. I did a lot of homework on basketball players during the day. Still trying to prepare myself for the mock draft that I want to do before the 23rd or whatever day. Of course, this is Happy June Day, first day of June for everybody. First day of Pride Month for everybody if you celebrate that, that kind of thing. So we're in a new month right now, and I think that for me personally, I just need to make sure I'm prepared, got plenty of homework done, so I know of all the basketball players that I need to know about so that I can make an educated guess about what I think the draft is going to be. Or rather, that's not really what a mock draft is about. It's not about what I think is going to happen. It's what I would do. And so I'm looking forward to doing that, but I still have a little bit of homework to do. But for the majority of the players that you would expect to go in the first 20 or 25 spots, I've pretty much seen footage on most of those guys. But there's still a lot of homework to do to have a good mock draft, because you want to know who people are not expecting to go in the first round. You want to know if guys that you would want to take in the first round and maybe aren't projected to go in the first round. And what I'm finding is that it's likely that you're going to find some stuff like that going on with this draft. So that's really what it's about. It's just trying to get as many of these prospects in my head to know a general idea of what they bring to the table and what ultimately they look like out there. So I'm further along. This was a good couple of days for that. I've seen at least 11 videos on different prospects in the second half of the first round projected. So, you know, we're gonna have an understanding. I have some players that I definitely want my team to pick up too if we get a chance. So it's a lot of good that comes with that, and I'm hopeful that through the information that I'm gathering, and I can make a good mock draft for the squad. So that's pretty much where my head is, man. Just trying my very best to more or less do my due diligence and all the different things that I love to do. Music, playlists, I put more effort into that than I usually do. My art, I did about 8 pieces today after not doing any yesterday. Instead of doing art, I decided to work on that playlist. And so today I came up with some good pieces. I think that the art was good. For the playlist, not really. That was a little run-of-the-mill CD art for me, nothing great, but some of the other art that I did for on paper was much better. So, you know, just putting in effort, man. Putting in effort. Adding push-ups to my regimen. I'm up to 117 every time I get down there. That was another reason why I stayed in yesterday. I was pretty damn sore and exhausted. Couldn't seem to get it going. Added another squat rep to my squats for the suitcase. I do 102 of those every time I get down. 5 sets, 102 every day. So it's just, you know, I'm still building, man. Still building. And just trying to put forth the effort necessary, man. Didn't do my 100s yesterday, but I did them the day before, so I'll do them again today when I get home, more than likely. And, you know, just trying to maintain my my consistency as best I can while still respecting that my energy will continue to dwindle because I'm getting older. So that's just kind of how that goes, man. And finding the right stuff to eat so that I don't have the type of night I had last night is also always a challenge, but it's just what my body has to deal with. So yeah, man, that's really what it's been for me the last couple of days, man. Ain't really a whole lot more to it than that in my own personal world. That's it. Looking forward to a good June. I want to win battles in June. That's what I was praying God about last night. It's like I did a good job of winning these battles. Didn't buy no weed, didn't waste too much money other than on those shoes, for which I don't regret at all because they've been very comfortable. Decided not to wear them today. I did throw away those others though. You know, as I intended to do. Plan on throwing away the Vans shoes. So I threw one set of those away today. And the ones that I'm wearing right now, as soon as I'm able, I will throw those away as well. So out with the old, in with the new June. That's what it is. Finally threw away them shoes that I've had, the Vans shoes that I've had for 5 years. I finally threw them away. The ones that I was walking around in every single day when I first got over here. You know, probably the more comfortable shoes that I had are Vans, because these are definitely not. But like I said, these are out the window too. As soon as I get a chance to, I'm gonna buy some more shoes and then get these the hell up out of here. So my intentions only have 2 pair in rotation, and they should both be very comfortable shoes. So that's really what it is, man. And I tell people, the shoes that I bought, as expensive as they are, you really do get what you pay for, man. Them are some of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn in my life, man. Truth be told, I don't regret it. I probably should, based on the financial strain it put on me this last couple of weeks. But the reality is, for as much walking as I've done, those shoes feel really, really good. And a lot better than what I'm wearing right now. So that's just the truth of the matter. Yeah, man, that's really what it is. There ain't nothing else really going on with me. I've obviously been keeping up with everything that's going on in Gaza and paying attention to the truce that's supposed to be sending out from the American/Israel side to Hamas, and Israel rejected that ceasefire truce agreement or whatever. I thought it was, initially they said it came from Israel, and then we've come to find out it didn't come from Israel because Israel rejected it. And so what I've come to hear and understand is that, I don't know if this is to be believed or not, but what the word on the street is, Netanyahu don't really have control over those soldiers he got out there doing all of this right now. He don't really have, like, if he were to say he wants to stop the war, he gonna have to send out mercenaries to kill his own men to stop it. From what I understand, the IDF is moving on as a rogue mission right now. I don't know if I believe that, only because Netanyahu's on board with what they're doing. It's like, this is what he told them to do: go out and kill a bunch of kids and wipe the area out and find creative ways of, making life as hard as possible on Palestinian people. Like, that's what whole propaganda's been about for the whole 75 years they've been doing this to these people. So for him to try to turn them away from that, he could tell them to stop, but when you have people out there that's actually committing these types of crimes, you don't have control over them. Let's just be honest. Once you send an army out to do the worst things humanly possible, those are monsters, fam. You don't have, you ain't about to tell them they on a holy mission to kill babies and then say, well, let's turn it off before we're done what we're doing. No, they not gonna turn it off. You gotta go out, you gotta send some more people out there to stop them. And that's essentially what is being said right now. Even if he wanted to stop this for the PR nightmare, he can't stop it. So he might as well just go forward and tell everybody the war will not stop and he will not allow it, so that it looks like he's in lockstep with these guys, when in actuality he couldn't stop it if he wanted to. That's what I've been hearing. They are rogue in a lot of cases out there. So that's not surprising, That's just, you send trained animals on a murder mission to kill innocent children. They start that process, kill 30,000 plus of them, and then you tell them to retreat, because what exactly is supposed to make them want to do that? And what muscle do you think you're sending out there? This is the muscle. This is who you use. So I don't think this is the first time this has happened in situations, and I imagine it's not going to be the last. As long as you have these energies out there that want to use the most murderous individuals in the world and put the most convincing stuff in their heads to be the most murderous people they can be. It's not like they out there suiting up to kill soldiers. They suiting up to kill babies and old people. Like, you know what I mean? They already gone to begin with mentally. So yeah, man, I'm not surprised by any of this. And nothing surprised me. I don't believe a whole lot of what I'm seeing there in regards to people saying one thing and doing another or whatever. It's just what it is. But I do like what I'm seeing in regards to the resistance. The resistance is rather serious. People are getting stronger in their intentions to go against this, as I predicted they would. I'm sorry it took this long for people to become this serious about it, but now that we're here, it makes me feel like I knew what I was talking about 6 months ago. You can't show people stuff that they'll never forget for the rest of their lives. Stuff that you've basically shielded them from their entire lives. I mean, we couldn't even watch this type of stuff in the movies and the video games. And now it's in our phones every couple hours. To the point where my stomach don't even hurt when I see some of these images anymore. It's just, you can't do this, put this in our heads, and then tell us that we don't have a right to go against it, and proceed to treat those who are going against it like they're bad people, going against everything they understand about what it means to be a good person and a part of a democracy, and then expect for them not to further grow gall to go against you. Like, everything they've done is not only inspired people to continue on the mission, but it's almost like you're challenging the ego of individuals to continue to go about the mission. Insulting our intelligence, scolding us for being humane, ignoring the most obvious of things as it pertains to this conversation. You know what I mean? Telling us down is up and up is down. I mean, eventually people are just going to get, their egos are going to be wrapped in trying to stop you. On top of everything else that's a motivating factor. Now it's like, oh, so you want to try us? That's what I think a lot of Palestinian supporters are kind of dealing with at this point. It's like these people really think we're stupid. They really think we're afraid of them. They really think we're going to stop. Like, no, we're going to go harder. No, we're going to radicalize even more. And so that's what I think the psychology of this should have been understood to be. It's like, you can't tell people who are already unafraid to buck a system that what their eyes show them isn't true, and that they should go against what they understand to be right and wrong for the sake of the wrongdoers who happen to be you. Once people realize they're going up against evil and that evil is in control, it ain't nothing left for them to do but grab a hold of their strength and continue to force against that evil and radicalize others to do the same thing. Not to mention that you're literally killing children. So it's like most of these people have a heart for that to whatever degree. So it's like now you want to challenge something like that. It's to the point where people would already give their lives to save one child. You killing thousands of them. So it's like, what makes you think they're not willing to drop everything 100 times over to stop you? Like, the American government just botched the entire process. And I saw some information this morning that made it make sense. It's like, that's because the government is a puppeteer show. It's not really the main show. It's not really what this is about. What this is really about, what our country is really about, is the business of war. Not a government that's supposed to speak for the people. That's what they need us to believe so that we won't disrupt the business. The business is war. The business is killing people and taking land and all this, you know what I'm saying? That's what this is really actually about. And so, for those of us who are civilians and don't understand what's going on, some of us may believe that we have control over what happens next, but war is not something you want to leave at the sway of people's public opinion and their vote. It's too important. That's essentially what this was saying. And it's the same thing I said about other things in a different way. It's the same thing about the stock market. It's the same thing about betting on sports that I say. It's like certain things they need us to invest in, but would be utterly irresponsible for them to actually leave up to us. You see what I'm saying? That's why I don't trust sports betting. It's along the lines of the same problem. Because at the end of the day, you're incorporating something that should otherwise be corrupted so that the responsibility of guaranteed dollars can be in place. They can't leave it up to Joe Blow to accidentally get lucky when they got bills to pay and investors to keep happy. No. You can't leave it up to chance because you have too many things that require deadlines in regards to paying things off. So if you're in the business of any type of gambling, you need to be able to secure money. And if somebody strikes it rich and wins the house over, guess what you don't have? Your investors guaranteed money, so it's always corrupted off the sheer nature of what's necessary for the environment that the business is in. Every other business needs to be able to secure money or else it can't stay upright. But you're telling me that you're willing to give some of the business, if not a majority of the business, over to chance? Who the hell is going to do that if they're really responsible as businessmen? You're not. And so that logic escapes us. The logic, when we talk about betting and we talk about the presence of corruption, escapes us when it comes to the idea that we can win. The idea that this is up to us. The idea that we can vote in a president that's going to have our intentions in mind. When the business is war. When the business is land stealing. They can't let some bleeding heart people like myself, our opinion, get in the way of the money. Because the money needs to be guaranteed so that they can stay upright as a business. So it's the same thing when it comes to our American government. It's like, yeah, they want us to invest so they have public opinion, so that we'll move and sway in a certain way, keep going to work happy, feeling like our voices are being heard and all this different stuff. But the reality is they got money to make, and they don't have time to be leaving it up to a bleeding heart like mine to get in the way of what needs to be done. They don't have time to be waiting for a person to vote properly when you can see off of the strength of American Idol that the American people are going to get it wrong. A lot of times people vote, people just get it wrong. So you're going to leave that up to chance? Hell no, not when there's trillions of dollars on the line, when you're already trillions of dollars in debt. You see what I'm saying? That's common sense. That's not so common because, quite honestly, we've been taught to think of other things instead of the obvious. So as I keep telling people, the Rock the Vote campaign, led by celebrities like R. Kelly and Diddy, were never to be trusted. Why? Because your vote only matters as much as they will allow it to matter. If they need somebody in office, they're going to put them in office. We're seeing right now that AIPAC controls most of the House of Representatives and the political structure by way of the dollars that they've invested in it. They invested money that they made off of whatever else they're doing, blood diamonds in a lot of cases, things that they've rigged to fit so that it'll flush money into their pockets, and anything else that they've had control over for the last however long it's been. And now they get to buy your government. You understand what I'm saying? But the way the government structure is working, you still get a say-so. But how much of a say-so do you actually get if this is already how it's proven to be structured? You ain't got no say-so. That's why they put two dodo birds in front of you and say, pick one, and then put the propaganda machine behind making you think that this is your next Jesus. You know, Trump supporters think he's like the next coming of Christ. That's because they did a good job on the propaganda machine. They had control of these people's minds for years and years, generations even. And they knew exactly what buttons to press, and they pressed them. And now these people think he's the next coming of God. No, he's just another AIPAC puppet, fam. That's it. Just like the other guy. You want to choose between, what is it? How does this go? Pick two bad guys, two notorious bad guys. Darth Vader and Bowser? Like, okay, you can choose. Makes you feel better. Still got bad guys in place. And then a lot of us are going to feel like we need to pick Bowser because we can't let Darth Vader back in there, right? Can't let Darth Vader back in, so let's just go with Bowser. Like, it's the same evil, fam. They're both corrupted. You don't win either way. The system itself is what needs to go away. You're not supposed to pick between two evils. You're certainly not supposed to fear that the majority of the rest of us are going to pick one of the other evils, so you had better pick an evil. No, you don't pick an evil at all. The lesser of two evils when it comes to controlling what happens next should not be a conversation. We don't want no evils. No evils. You understand what I'm saying? When it comes to presidential candidates and House of Representatives and laws being passed, no evils. And any system that allows for us to think that there's only evil to choose from needs to be a system that we do away with. And I get frustrated because I'm seeing people so excited. I got one of my good buddies whose son is getting ready to go to the Navy. Bro, he's about to fight for the wrong side. He's literally on the wrong side of history if he's going into the armed forces right now. If either Bowser or Darth Vader has control of the army, you're going to be doing something you ain't got no business doing. It just is what it is. So what it's always been. We just didn't want to look at it that way. We were taught how not to look at it that way. But the reality is, they're not out there doing humanitarian stuff. They're out there keeping up the business of war. The business of America is war. War is the business. And they're not going to leave it up to chance or let some good-hearted, do-goody, random idiot, for which they think of us to be, sway what ultimately keeps this thing as dominant as it is. War. And stirring up the pot with other people and investing in the same thing that AIPAC invests in, like blood diamonds, is what keeps this thing dominant. Making sure they stand on the backs of poor people in places they could give a shit about is what keeps this place dominant. Not your tax dollars. Your tax dollars is what enforces that force. You know what I'm saying? That's what keeps them in a position to be able to draw a gun on anybody to hold them accountable. Nah, that's what your tax is for. Your tax ain't for any of that stuff you think it is. That's not what your tax money's for. Your tax money's to keep them at war, comfortable, and in business. And then they keep on, doing what evil does, which is never paying off its debt. The debt is $1 trillion up. You think they're going to pay any of that off? Hell no, they ain't paying any of that off. They're going to keep on investing in it because they've been able to stand firm in the fact that they're in debt like this. They ain't paying into that debt. They're drawing us even further into debt and lining their own pockets. Ain't none of that money going back into the country. If anything's going to make them the type of money they want to make, it's going to be after the ultimate goal is reached, where they have control of the entire Middle East and have overthrown China's land and all this other stuff that they really about. They don't care about being $1 trillion debt right now because they feel like what they're going to do is going to make them 4 or 5 times that if they can just complete the mission of colonizing up the earth. Hell, let America stay in debt. America's only one fraction of what it is they control. It's all evil, man. And so that's what I'm telling all of y'all. Just understand. The only thing that's going to change this is the collective unity of human beings, because we outman them. At the end of the day, we outman them. No matter what it is they're trying to do, no matter how many people they hire for this, if people move together, it's too many. We too smart together. It's coming from too many different directions together. They would have to use atomic bombs and nuclear weapons to try to actually stave off what would otherwise be coming at them, which they probably will try to do. For those of us who are fearful, you need to know that is exactly what the solution is to stopping everybody from otherwise stopping them with all this free thinking and bleeding heart and all this good stuff. No. They gotta annihilate people, like literally. And so we need to understand that. Like that is what we're up against when we start thinking clearly and stopping them from doing all this evil stuff they're doing. And like eventually they're gonna have to start killing us off, quite literally. But that doesn't work because they still need us for whatever it is they need us for. Whatever it is they need us for. If we didn't hold any use, they probably would have already done it. You see what I'm saying? They would have probably already done it. So it's up to smarter minds to figure out what the use of the people still is to these huge conglomerates of demons. Find out why they still need us and attack what it is that otherwise they need us to not. And I tell you, man, it really comes down to just finding the roots of everything that keeps things together and attacking those roots. That's really what it comes down to. That's what it really comes down to. And that's why they need the people to be out the way thinking however they need us to think, so that we're not thinking of being disruptive in that way. If they make money off of wheat, then we stop selling wheat. You know, that kind of thing. That's along the lines of the thinking they need us not to be thinking about. If the solution is found in them having large armies, then we need to sway people away from that. Like, that's really the type of thinking they need us not to be thinking. You know? And that's what large amounts of people can do. If they need us to keep on working, then everybody stops working, stops paying taxes, blocks the streets, that type of stuff. Very disruptive, very harmful in the sense that you can't get certain things done as quickly as it may need to be done in certain areas, but ultimately will disrupt their entire business. That's why they hate when you do that. Don't block the freeway. Well, yeah, no, it's not because they're trying to hurry up and get fire trucks and ambulances to where they're needed. That's bleeding heart shit. They don't care about that. They want to keep on being able to move the commerce or whatever it is they got going back and forth. That's why you can't block the damn streets. That's why they hate when you block the freeways, because if you stop the process of work, then certain things that they need to go back and forth can't go back and forth. You start, closing down the airports however you do, go on full-fledged airport strike all over the world, then you start having real problems with these people and their money going where it needs to go. And that's the type of stuff they need us not to be thinking about. Full-on airport strike. No more. Full-on train station strikes. Metro strikes all at once. Like, that's the type of stuff they need us not to be thinking at all. Things that are shut down the streets permanently until we see what we want to see. That's why they need people not to be out here, because there's too many of us. We can block certain things. We can get in the way of certain stuff. Keep certain people from doing things they need to do. That's why they need us to be in lockstep. That's why they need us to be able to think that we have some power, because once we start thinking we don't have no power, we start using the power we actually have, for which they need us not to believe we have. That's what it really comes down to. So that's what I'm telling all of you guys. Let's just pay attention to what's going on, get as educated as possible. You know what I mean? And be ready for the great change that's coming, because people are sick of what they're seeing. They're starting to understand the importance of substance and keeping their mind clear. And once you start having that type of stuff happen, then the conglomerates that control things suddenly don't have the same power anymore. Now it's like, no thank you, sir. That's when it starts becoming a problem. When you really start seeing the clarity that has been depraved of you by things like crack and cocaine and pornography and all different types of stuff. When you start thinking clearly about what has happened to you, start seeing yourself as not only a victim, but an enabler of other victims. And you start holding yourself accountable for what you've neglected in your own life, which would allow something like this to be in power. Then you start becoming more useful to the act of change, rather than useful to those who want to keep things like this going. And so, like I said, what they need us not to be thinking about. It's exactly how we need to start thinking. Get our minds right. Get out and stop investing in their sinful companies and having our minds wrapped up in the need to continue to make them rich by way of what it is they provide us, giving us our little fix. Oh, I need this, I need that, I need to have this. That's what they need you to need. You understand that? If you don't need this, you're not paying them. If you're not paying for that, you know what I mean? You're not keeping them wealthy and ultimately not giving them the ability to continue to rig the game against you. So that's what I'm here to tell all of y'all, man. I don't walk in fear anymore. It pertains to stuff like this. Because at the end of the day, I understand that what is up against us is much more fearful than we are. Much more fearful. They need us to continue to be stupid and high and sinned out of our mind, and selfish, looking at one another like I'm better than you when none of us have any damn power. They need us to continue to separate one another. I don't receive stuff the same way. Listen to some of the music. Start talking about class separation. Oh, I got more money than you, I'm better than you. That don't go in the same way as it used to. That's not cute to me anymore. When you start realizing where the money is really going and what it's for, it ain't cute. Capitalism is it's not what it looks like to us. It ain't meant to benefit the common man. You may get your piece of the pie, but you need a lot more of it than what you're capable of receiving in order to have the power that they want you to believe you have. And they want you to feel like you're better than the next person, but both of y'all are way, way, way down there. And when you start to really understand that, and you start realizing that they are stepping on people who are even further behind, further down than you, and treating them horribly just off the strength of the leverage that they have by way of you thinking that way, then you start realizing, this is not the way to be. We make it hard on people overseas just by being as capitalistic as we are. We make it hard on people who are in places that don't have any rights by keeping these folks in positions of leverage by way of the wealth that we pay into them to do things that are not right. This is just facts at this point. It's not something we have to wonder about anymore. We're seeing the results of that right now. We're seeing what's happening in Congo. We're seeing what's happening in Sudan. We're seeing what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims. We're seeing what's happening in Palestine. This is a result of us being so selfish and so neglectful and so warped into the propaganda that's been in our faces for many years. It's time for us to wake up if we don't want to be responsible for that for which is wrong all over the world. It's time for us to snap out of that. We've been taught how to be this way, and this is the exact way that allows them to continue to act that way. It's that simple, man. So I don't walk in fear. Life could end at any moment, man. People don't like when you talk this way. People hate when you make them shake out of their own comfort zones. A lot of people are traumatized in their own ways. Based on the trauma that's coming their way, they're traumatized into not wanting to wake up from the matrix, so to speak. It's too hard. It's too hard for me. They want you to be that weak. They don't want you to see that you will love yourself more for sticking up for something greater than yourself. Sticking up for people who don't have anything, how your esteem will grow from being unselfish and knowing that you're that way when you look in the mirror. They don't want you to think like that. They won't tell you there's any value in that. There's plenty of value in that when you don't have any real power in this world, and then you realize you use the little power that you have to come together to combat what is wrong in the planet. You start loving yourself a little more. You start making better decisions because you see more value in self by way of your unselfish nature. They ain't gonna teach you that. They teach you it's all about you. You are the greatest. Maybe if you follow your religion down the path of pouring into more of their wealth with what that religion will otherwise demand of you, then you're doing the right thing. But that's not necessarily the case. I do believe in God. I do believe in faith. And that faith is in compassion, a belief that I can believe in something greater than what it is that's put in front of me as I stand in this horrible space where war is what this is all about, and be cloaked by the propaganda and the nonsense that's meant to cloak my mind from being as smart as it's supposed to be. I stand in faith knowing that I can make a difference even though not many are listening to me. That's what faith is really for. Not to keep you in lockstep with something that would otherwise make you less of a compassionate person, but to give you the understanding that you can go against that grain and find the value in compassion regardless. This is what the truth is. If your faith ain't putting you in a position to speak up on what is true and to give you the strength to go against what would otherwise be threatening you to be quiet, then that faith doesn't hold a whole lot of value to you because it's not making you as strong as you need to be within the limited time you're here to live. And if it's making it so that people don't want to respect you or hate you or otherwise want to take from you or blame you for the struggles and have receipts for it, blame you for their struggles and be able to prove it to you by way of whatever it is they show, then your faith is doing no good for you. Your faith reflects poorly upon you if it makes you a problem for others. They ain't gonna teach you that. It's not in their benefit to teach you that. But if by way of my intolerance I am now hated, and people start thinking about who their enemies are and want to weaponize themselves against me because of that intolerance, what good has my faith actually done? Now people hate me because of what it is that I'm taught in a book. Now I'm being mean and angry and intolerant or what have you of others, and now they are warring against me. Now I got to look over my shoulder because of that of which I believe, and that's supposed to work good for me? How's that supposed to be good for my last name when my son isn't safe because of what it is we believe? You want to hate them people, and now they hate you back. Now you're not safe around them. How does that reflect upon you? See, religion has always taught us backwards in that regard. You got to war for what you need. No, you need to make as many genuine friends as possible. The world is safer for you when you do that. You get to live longer and happier. Like, people don't think for themselves. They just follow. And as a result of they following, they indoctrinate. And within that indoctrined nature, they get this type of stuff going on in their lives. They can't think their way through. They go into their graves, having done it backwards the whole damn time. And this is the result of it. Enough of them people walk the earth and die. It's what we tumble forward to what you see in today. Not enough people buck that nonsense throughout the course of time. That's why stuff is what it is right now. That's why capitalism runs the earth and people can say horrible things and be celebrated for it. Do horrible things and get away with it in certain areas. It's because not enough people challenge that throughout the course of time. They followed the indoctrination nonsense that taught them how to do crime and get away with it. Hold others accountable for stuff that they would never allow themselves to be held accountable for. Enslave people, kill people, maim people. Speak only but so much about what it is they need to change within themselves. Not challenge themselves to be better. Let their inner demons run rampant while being quiet about it. I mean, enough people went into their graves doing this, and this is why we're here now. If them people would have been stronger, better human beings, we wouldn't be seeing some of this nonsense right now. A lot of you wouldn't be so indoctrinated and being silent while you're seeing genocide if it wasn't for so many forefathers being just as ridiculous in the presence of horrible things. That's why you as bad as you are. Because they were like that and they taught you how to be that way, and it didn't work for nothing other than what it is that we're having in front of us right now. So it's time for this generation to be smart enough to do that and tumble forward something better to our children. Tumble forward a faith that is enriched in compassion and tolerance, not something that's going to have us being more of a warring-like entity in this earth. A war does not do anything but make life a lot less safer for your children. That's it. And if you call yourself a good father, a good mother, then you need to see the correlation between what it is you believe in and what it is that this is. And if you can't see that, hopefully my video has helped you with that. A lot of those people who taught you how to think that way, who taught those who taught you how to think that way, they didn't mean well for any of us. They didn't mean us any good. And if we can't think outside of what it is they gave us, then we mean no good for those who come after us. At some point in time, this domino effect has to stop. This domino effect of being out of control and dystopian in nature and warful in mind and about only money and having no substance to our heart, and you know, taking the easy route and everything and making it easy for ourselves and gatekeeping others out of it. You know, all of these different weaknesses are ultimately what makes the world so much worse. So much worse. And so that's what I'm telling everybody, man. Get your heads into the bigger picture of what has already been in place and how you may not be satisfied with it when you look around and see headless babies and people protesting about it. Understand what got us here is a lot of what these people want us to continue to push forward. Being superficial in nature and selfish in nature and hateful in nature, intolerant in nature. This is why all of this is as it is. Because people keep on living and dying and passing this to their kids. So that's pretty much what I gotta say, man. I hope I reach somebody. God knows I intend to do my part in living and dying for something different than that. And hopefully we can change the globe, man. One thought, one mind at a time. Free Palestine, BDF 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.